What's happening, guys? Gene here, True Patriot Outfitters, doing a full recap. Lake Okoboji. Kind of trying to get back in the swing of things, doing what we do. We weren't supposed to fish this event. We were just going to work it. But as we saw the roster and things being what they were, we decided to go ahead and jump in. With the 10 fish format, doesn't matter when you catch your 10 fish. So we figured, what the heck, we'll jump in for Saturday, knowing that we may only get a couple hours on best case scenario on Sunday. If we were up, in the hunt, then we would have definitely fished Sunday. But we decided to not, and I'll just kind of explain why, what we were seeing there. But so not a lot of practice. Just trying to fish from understanding and knowing what little we learned last year about the place when we came up here and had a couple days to poke around. We fished west and east last year on the 2 days that we had, so I had a little bit of knowledge there about those areas. Roughly about the same time of the year as it is now. And so this one here, we had plans to go south. Not for nothing. You fish Lake Okoboji out of a kayak. If you're not thinking about the canals, then you're not thinking about the wind. And that's at least being up there in the top. But I knew it was going to be crowded, extra crowded, because of two major factors. Number one, there were some boat tournaments that were in play. And number two, the wind was going to be pretty heavy on Saturday. For those two reasons, my stubborn self said I'm not going there. I wanted to go down south and take a peek at some stuff. And plus, this time of the year, I thought for sure down Minawashta, Lower, and Upper Gar, fishing around some of those areas, there were some good choke points, a couple flats, a lot of weeds. Thought, hey man, that should play into my game. Plus, I was really looking forward to it. When I drove by and looked at the water looked stained, like a couple feet visibility. Really liked that idea, and I wanted to fish those waters. So we went out and did that. Good evidence that I'm not fully in the zone yet in my tournament brain, which I'm glad I did this event, because I can't afford to slip like that with the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters events from here on out. So I'll explain what I mean by that. Lake Okoboji, first and foremost, I will say this. Lake Okoboji Resort, hands down the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in while fishing or attending a tournament. Unbelievably friendly staff, just fantastic accommodations, new ownership. So they are in the middle right now of doing some remodeling on some areas. So there is some couple areas that they're doing some construction on, but exciting for them for the future. And they're getting prepped and ready for the busy season, which obviously is right after Memorial Day. That's when things are going to get real for that area. This whole area, so you folks know, is a super cool destination to go during the summertime and for a nice mini vacation in this area. The boardwalk down there on Broadway that goes through right next to Arnold's Park, right on the river or right on the lake, beautiful, super cool down there. That my understanding is they have like live music down there. That's, free concerts that go on throughout the summer. Super cool, and just a really neat area. All the little towns, Spirit Lake and Arnold's Park and Okoboji, they're just all really cool towns in that area, and quite the spectacle to see. And I know with more time would be really cool to go check out a lot of the shops and just kind of take in some of the sights there for sure. A lot of entertainment to be had as well. So that was super cool, and I really enjoyed our stay there while we were there. Great network connectivity for the work that we had to do that required our Wi-Fi and landline to be able to plug in there. So that was awesome. But yeah, man. So I set up with the things. I figured I'm gonna launch from Lake Minawashta, and that I launched it to south. There's a campground up to the north of Minnie that you can go up and launch from there. But I launched it to south because it's not that big a body of water, Minawashta. So I knew I could get across it pretty fast if the wind got tricky, and I wanted to have access to Lower Gar. So the way it works, you got Lower Gar, Minawashta, and then Upper Gar, and so you can. I hit all of those on Saturday we covered a ton of water. Now here's where I can tell you that I was slipping pretty bad. And make no mistake, I mean, I've been tournament fishing out of a boat, and now a kayak for a couple of years, but a boat for a lot of years. So I'm not a rookie when it comes to tournament fishing. I don't have near the results on tournament day that I would absolutely have preferred to see, but that's irrelevant to the fact I've been in a lot of tournaments and taken in a lot of this information. So one of the key factors that you have to have for success on tournament day is good decision-making process and a good decision-making execution, if you will. You have to adjust to your environmental variables as they change. From the environment, or as you notice things, you have to make adjustments on tournament day to match those. And when that all comes together, that's why you see grown men break down into utter tears when they win, one of these major events, because it's a perfect storm that has to come together, right? Just having success alone, you feel really strong about, and you feel really good, and you build your confidence moving forward in that case. So that's where we screwed up. So I get into Minnewaska. Like I said, stay in water there, do a little bit of fishing, playing some weed edges, going deep first, then jumping up shallow. First fish we catch on the day, literally on a chatterbait, was about a 22, 23 inch drum. Thing was a horse. Smacked that bad boy. Then we started moving more to bigger baits and just started hunting for bigs. Well, after a while, not receiving really any good feedback on the big fish, thinking I'd see them cruising up along the shorelines and such. Water temperature's a lot higher than what I thought, and that's what I think tripped me up, is I really started focusing on that water temperature maybe too much and not paying attention to what was right in front of me. I get down into lower gar as I'm covering water and fished deep into lower gar, into back these little pockets, almost 70-degree temperatures on the water back in there. And I'm watching that, focused on that. And I want to say it was maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock. I'm going through weeds, right? I mean, a ton of weeds. There's some that's already topped out. I'm like, what the heck? Throwing a frog into some of that. Had a couple blow-ups on that. They never got it, though. But it dawned on me at about 10:30, 11, maybe 11:30, somewhere in that hour. Why is all this grass brown and dead? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? Wait a minute. There is a lot of grass, but it's early, mid-spring, whatever. And this grass in here, all this cabbage, it's just dead. What in the heck, is going on? So that starts to register in my head, and I start thinking to myself, bro, something's in play here. Something bad. That I wasn't paying attention to earlier there. That shouldn't be. I mean, that grass should be bright green right about now if it's coming up like that, right? I mean, it should be alive and well. And it most certainly was not. Now, I don't know this for certain, but after talking to some guys at the awards and getting some information that I seem to remember hearing about, I have a feeling this area's been sprayed. And that's why those weeds are dead, dying off, and going to crumble to open up a lot of these pathways in here, because that, or I don't know what else could be the explanation as to why that stuff was already dead in there. The grass and all the vegetation. So that didn't register in my head till way, way late in the day. And at that point, I started thinking, son of a, no wonder I'm not finding as many bigger fish down here as I thought I would be finding. Because in my experience, not to say you can't catch big ones, but your chances are greatly reduced in dead grass areas. Those bigs are going to migrate and move towards where the oxygen is thick and heavy. That's going to be their choice of spawn, is in, rich areas that are protected, pockets. And so there just wasn't as many beds as I thought I'd see. And again, a lot of topped out dead vegetation already, just slightly submerged brown dead grass and vegetation in there. So that kind of explained why our fortunes were not so great down there for the bigger fish. When I about realized that, so I have no problem telling you, picked up the Ned rig, one of my Dewey Baits plastics, the boomstick. I cut it down to what I figure is about 5 inches and put that on a Ned head. And I used a couple different, used the Eagle Claw Ned head, used the Trocar Ned setup there. Even used a tube jig, a 90 tube jig with that on there for a little bit, pulling that through the weeds, because really all I was doing is I was dropping that net into weed edges, and if I get hung up, I just snap it loose. And a lot of times it was on that snap that we were getting bit when it would break loose. And we put together a small sack, small stringer, 5 fish, 77 inches. So for the end of day one, that was where the head was. Keep in mind, our 10 fish format with the All-American allows for you to be able to catch your 10 fish whenever. So got the 5 fish in there, feeling kind of stupid that I didn't notice what I noticed, late midway in the day, almost the end of day. I didn't notice that earlier. And so we finish up, we get loaded back up on the trailer, check the results, realize that I was going to have to come out and catch about 10, 15 fish to call out what I had and lock up and probably put up about 120 inches if I wanted a shot, just a shot at cashing a check. So with the prospects of that in play, and me also knowing that I was only going to get a couple hours because I needed to get the awards ceremony ready, we opted not to fish on Sunday. But that was kind of the game plan that we talked about all along, is that I could go out and fish Saturday, but I wouldn't do anything on Sunday. That way I could get everything prepped and ready, and be working with Josh to make sure everything was good there. So so that was that. But just taking away from this and understanding that I noticed something, but I was so caught up in one of the other variables that I didn't pay close enough attention and give each one of these variables their due respect and time. I got too focused on temperature and clarity. I was too hyper focused on those things, not paying attention to what I was seeing right in front of me. I was trying to pull from memory and know-how, this and that, of where to go find them and where to track down the bigger ones. But the fishery is super healthy. There's no doubt about it. Each one of those lakes, I have learned that about Lake Okoboji, is each lake it's definitely its own little environment and offers many challenges and different variables for the anglers to kind of unlock through that entire, even though they're connected, that chain, each one has kind of its own personality in there, and that's super cool. I really like that. It offers a lot of variety for anglers to test out, for sure. But what a clinic put on by Jordan Westerman again. And make no mistake, dude puts in the hours, man. He logs countless hours, and if it's a smallmouth bite, he's going to be on it and go after it. And that isn't just, that doesn't happen overnight. That's a product of a lot of hours, countless hours that he's put in to gather his information together to be ready for these type of events. So, but like I told, a couple of the other guys, that's what'll make it so sweet. If you can, when you knock him off that top rung there, then you've accomplished something. If you can beat Jordan on, basically is in his backyard there at Okoboji, for sure. So, but yeah, what a clinic he put on. 197 inches over the course of 2 days. That's insane. That's almost hitting that 200 burger, and that is an epic day on the water. Lots of 10 fish stringers put up. I want to say all the way into the 20s out of 34 anglers. 440 fish, 436, 39, something like that, fish caught. So lots of fish caught. Okoboji showed why we go back there, a couple times, just because it's a very, very healthy fishery, and the people in the area are super cool, and we love showing up there for sure, and fishing it. So that's our recap, man, of Lake Okoboji. We had a great time there, learned a bunch. Next up for us will be the Red Willow event, both of them, 2 events that'll be coming up in beginning of June. Right now, this coming weekend, we have the Global War on Terror Wall of Remembrance coming into Fort Collins area, so I'll be going up there and working that with Mr. Romans himself from the Romans Warrior Foundation. He'll be up there, and so we'll be working that and spreading the healing there with the wall. And then, and this Wednesday, we have our first ever Heroes on the Water event. If you've been following along, we're now working with them in 1 to 2 Wednesdays each month. We're going to schedule up Heroes on the Water events. We work directly with the Denver VA, and so that's going to be starting this weekend. So that's exciting, or this week on Wednesday. And then in the very near future here, beginning of June, starting and moving forward, True Patriot Outfitters will be at Stanley Lake on 1 to 2 Tuesdays a month. We'll be there unscheduled. Now, if vet, active military, first responder can hit us up and schedule to meet us there and get on the water with us, then we'll book that and we'll go out fishing on that Tuesday morning. If nobody books, we'll be on hand and available there for a few hours. So if the public wants to come out and see, we make you a fair trade. If you're willing to listen to our elevator pitch and hear about the mission of the TPO and what we're trying to do here, then we'll even let you take and demo one for, take it for a couple laps. We'll have unlimiteds on hand, and then we'll have a U10 also on hand that you can check out and see what you think about these and understand why we love New Canoe so much. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Tonight, TPO podcast will be going off as usual, 6 p.m. Not sure if it's going to be live or if we'll have some recorded content. Either way, it'll be at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook, Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. That'll be on there soon. As always, folks, appreciate you following along. Tight lines. Be safe.